Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and another Obi-Wan Kenobi review. This is going to be all about episode 4, so if you haven't seen this episode, go ahead and save this video for later because we are going to be talking about spoilers throughout this video. So, spoiler warning. This episode was on the shorter side, but still had some really enjoyable moments. So we start off with Obi-Wan on the transport that is trying to get him back to the base of sorts and get him into the bacta tank after we saw him kind of barbecued at the end of the last episode. So while he is submerged into the bacta tank, there is flashes between him and Vader in the tank. And of course his is for healing his burns and whatnot, and Vader's is because he's very damaged. But you go back and forth and you kind of hear the echoes and flashes of their most recent fight that they just had. So I really like the back and forth between Ben and Vader, especially with like the voiceovers and whatnot as they're both in the bacta tank. And Obi-Wan kind of jumps out of it, and of course his immediate thought is, where's Leia? Because we did in fact lose the child again. And she is in the deep blue sea looking Imperial base. I do think it's a really cool base, but all I was thinking about during this episode was the movie Deep Blue Sea. If you're a shark fan, it's a shark movie, and that's all I could think about during this episode. I will say that I love Leia like name dropping people. She's like, my father is a senator. He is Bail Organa, and I am the Princess of Alderaan, you fuckers. Like, I love this little sassy girl. Like, she's like, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And of course, telling Leia that Obi-Wan is dead. Bunch of douchebags. So on Jabin, we are asking for help because Obi-Wan wants to go and rescue Leia. He's not going to leave her there on that Imperial base. And I did really like the quote, we need your help. So does every little kid that can make a rock float from here to Coruscant. Like, I love that because they're just trying to help all of these Force-sensitive children and people move through the galaxy because it's such a dangerous time for them now. And, you know, and he lost his wife because of this. Like, his wife was a Jedi or, you know, Force-sensitive, if you will. And even though he's struggled through those type of things, he is still willing to help at the end of the day. I do say that the Imperial base is on a water moon that is in the Mustafar system, the Vader system, if you will. So, dun dun dun. And the plan is for Tala to use her officer clearance to get inside, and they hope that it works, that it's still intact after everything that's happened. Then we go to Obi-Wan practicing using the Force, which is good. He is still healing, like not just his body, but mentally, you know, in this short span of time. He's gone from being a hermit to realizing that Anakin is still around to having a lightsaber battle again and getting barbecued and all of these things, all while trying to protect this little princess. It's been a lot for him. He's going through it. We get a lot of Leia and Reva in this episode, kind of like interrogation scenes. And Reva literally took the Jedi symbol off the safe house wall. She does not like that symbol, and she like slams it down in front of Leia. I want to know about her past. I keep saying that in every single review that I do. And it's like I'm leaning towards like she was a child in the Jedi Temple when Order 66 happened. But I just want to know more, and I keep getting worried that we're not. It's just going to be left for us to assume, which a lot of us have. But I would like to see like maybe a flashback or something of that. And of course, her main goal is to get Leia on her side, like have Leia talk about the path and like all of those things, just like the shady tricks to try and get Leia on her side, but it doesn't work and Leia is not going to tell them anything. Making their way towards the base, I did wonder if Obi-Wan was going to swim into the base somehow. We have seen Obi-Wan do that twice before in live action, so I kind of was thinking we were going to get that vibe. The underwater base still trips me out, but I think it's still very visually pleasing to watch. I will say I did like Tala pulling rank on the security officer to get through the clearance. You know, like at first she looked really worried and I was like, girl, you're gonna blow your cover. But she kind of like hardened herself and just like pulled rank and made him, the security guy, just shut up so she could get through. Then we have Obi-Wan swimming. I want one of the Jedi breather things. I always have ever since I saw it in Phantom Menace. I thought that would be the coolest thing, to be able to swim underwater and still breathe. What is it called? I think it's an aquata breather. I think. I've always wanted one. And the trooper, like, hearing water sounds and, like, goes inside, and Obi-Wan just, like, kind of, like, flips him over into the little pool of water. You know, what a bad day at work for that guy. Then we go to Reva trying to, like, pull stuff from Leia's mind, because we're past the point of the interrogation, like, just asking. Now we're trying to, like, pluck things out of her mind. And any of time these type of moments just are super intense to me, especially when it's a literal child. But when you reference any of these moments throughout Star Wars, they're just, like, super intense, and, like, the vibration sounds and whatnot. I always find these moments very intense. And in this, you have Lola trying to protect Leia, like a good little droid, and she tries her best, but she's just a little thing, and Reva catches her instead. But Reva does make note that Leia is strong, and that of course leads into future Death Star interrogations where she's able to resist that interrogation as well. In this moment, Reva does say that she once had a droid as well, but it was taken from her just like everything else. Hints at the backstory. So once Tala kind of makes her way to the monitor that she's going to be based at, she kind of notices that it's not just a base, like they're hiding something further down. And during these moments, like, Obi-Wan is trying to make his way through the base, but she gets pulled aside because a different officer, like, is like, what are you doing here? You're not stationed here. And so gets pulled away from that particular monitor. Obi-Wan is kind of hiding from the seeker droid and, like, makes his way through hallways and goes to hide. Meanwhile, Tala kind of kicks that officer's ass and goes back to the monitor. But when she messages Obi-Wan again, some stormtroopers hear the comm message. And even though he's, like, hiding away, they're like, oh, what's that? And this ties right to New Hope on the Death Star, because Obi-Wan makes a noise for them to hear down the way, so the troopers, like, turn and go that way, and Obi-Wan goes this way. The exact same thing with Obi-Wan on the Death Star when he's trying to turn off everything and get back to the Falcon, although we don't. He doesn't make it, does he? And Tala, like, says, like, I had some company, but it's taken care of. Like, yeah, he's just taking a nap over there. I personally continue to love Vivian's acting as little Leia, especially in these scenes between her and Reva. I think between the pair, it was very good scenes. I enjoyed them. And these moments where Leia tries to turn it back around on her, I love them. Like, okay, well, if we're on the same team, like you've said, you know, I have to tell my father these things first. And of course it doesn't work because Reva is too quick to that. But I do love the, okay, fine, let's be diplomatic. I'll call my father and we can talk about this. And then so quickly when Reva's like, yeah, we're not doing that, then Leia's like, well, I'm not telling you anything. Like, just like quick like that. I love that scene. And of course, in return, we're going to go take the child to be tortured. You're really cool. We're going to torture a 10-year-old. And Obi-Wan ends up stumbling into, like, a trophy room of Jedi or Force-sensitive beings. He calls it, like, a tomb, and they're, like, all encased in this, like, Jurassic Park-looking yellow frozen stuff. I don't even know. And there's, like, various species, and there's adults, and there's a kid, and it's a tomb of, like, their trophies. Once again, Reva and Leia's back and forth as, like, the system is about to start torturing Leia is really good. I love them going back and forth with each other. And once again, like, I think Vivian lives up and does really good with the adult actors that she's working with, even though she's just a little kid. All the while, Obi-Wan is still looking at all of these dead Jedi and Force-sensitive beings, and it's really sad, especially when you do see the child and he looks like he's, like, straight out of the Jedi Temple with his little visor, and it's just it's really sad. But he kind of is pulled away from that when he hears Leia screaming, and he tells Tala that he needs a distraction, like, he's gonna do something and he needs a distraction now. So just as we're about to start torturing the literal child, a different officer comes in and interrupts Reva and says, like, it couldn't wait or whatever. And basically Tala is being that distraction and saying where she was stationed and that she was a spy and she has this knowledge and the path is here and they're going to be here trying to distract Reva and get the focus on somewhere that isn't where Obi-Wan is going and where Leia is. So one of my favorite scenes, I think, in this episode is when Leia's in the room, she's still tied up and strapped in or whatever, and the room goes dark. And then all of a sudden, blue lightsaber, and the one stormtrooper is, like, hit and then jabbed and all of that, and the lights go off. And then again, blue lightsaber, and the other trooper goes down, and it's Obi-Wan with the lightsaber. I love how it was filmed. I thought it was super cool. And then of course he rescues Leia, and she's like, I thought you were dead. It's a very sweet moment. I love their relationship so much, but I love just the lights going down and then just the saber coming up. It's awesome. A really good line between Tala and Reva was, I don't know if you're lying to me or for me, as they're debating which cover Tala was talking about. You know, what side is she really on? I thought that was a really good quote. And just like that, the alarm sounds and everyone knows that Obi-Wan's there. Tala goes ahead and takes down the stormtroopers, and meanwhile Obi-Wan and Leia are booking it down the hallway, and Obi-Wan gets his groove back. I was like cheering in these moments because he's like blocking laser bolts. He's twirling the saber. He's going back into like the Obi-Wan Kenobi that we are more used to, and like kind of getting his groove back. And I was super pumped for these scenes with the droids and the troopers against Obi-Wan. Although, as I was watching it, I was like, are the windows like glass? Are they reinforced? Anything going on? And sure enough, like 2 seconds later, one of the blaster bolts ricocheted off the saber and hit the glass, and it started to crack. And Leia's like, Ben? So the window starts cracking, the water starts coming in, and Obi-Wan starts holding it back with the Force, which I love again. And Tala comes in, and, you know, Obi-Wan's like, get Leia out of here. And at first I was like, are we separating again? Like, this is getting ridiculous. But they did end up waiting at the end of the hallway for him, so that was okay. But basically, you know, Obi-Wan is waiting for the perfect moment for the troopers and the Imperial officers to get through the barricade, wait for it, and just at the perfect moment, he releases the Force, and the water comes splashing in, and he kind of like catapults it towards them, so he has enough time to book it down the hallway, get behind the shield doors, and isn't a water piece in the little hallway that is now completely flooded. Leia walking underneath the jacket, underneath Obi-Wan's jacket, was just so funny to me. And I think I saw on TikTok someone edit it with the don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. And it was like, that's exactly what it was, because it was like right out of a cartoon, like trying to hide under the trench coat. It was really cute, but that's all I can think of now is the don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. And Reva calling them out in the hangar when they're completely surrounded was a little nerve-wracking. I did really like, you know, Tala's line of like, this was never who I was, you know, as Reva's trying to make her feel bad or whatever. And it was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And moments like this, I always love in Star Wars when you get the backup from the sky, the pilots swoop in and help them out, start shooting some of the troopers, and allow them more time to get to the edge of the hangar so they can get off this base. Of course, one of the ships goes down so that they can load up and get off, and the other one is kind of being the distraction for Reva to deflect some of the bolts and everything. And hero move, but you almost knew that this was not going to end well for that pilot, and it doesn't. They send off one of their explosions, and he explodes and falls into the ocean and dies. It's really sad, and definitely went out as a hero to make sure that they got off the base okay. But they do get away, and watching this for a second time, I did notice that, you know, like the fifth brother is pissed, obviously. Reva doesn't look as mad as he does, obviously. And I was like, I wonder why that is. And then we switch to hearing Vader's voice, and he's like stomping down the hallway, and he force chokes Reva up into the air, and he's pissed that they got away. And she basically says, like, you know, this is part of the plan. There's a tracker on them. And where it's going to leave us, it's going to lead us to Kenobi, the path, all of this. Like, this, I got this plan. And so Vader kind of backtracks. He's like, oh, okay. I won't kill you yet. Good idea. And basically she says, like, wherever Kenobi goes, like, it will go. And so I was immediately like, okay, so it's on Leia. It would make sense because she spent so much time with Leia during the various interrogations. It would make sense that she placed something on Leia so that they could track Obi-Wan and the rest of the path. Reva is definitely making sure to stay on Vader's good side, especially when she adds comments like, Kenobi is all that matters. And Vader's like, I see you, girl. As they make it to the other, like, transport ship, they have to, you know, what happened to Wade? And Wade, the pilot, died. And Tala saying, well, I guess you're soldiers now. It's just like a very crushing line, especially for Star Wars. It's just all these regular people that have to go through all this BS. and so many of them did have to become soldiers. And of course you get a very sweet moment between Leia and Obi-Wan where Leia grabs his hand, and I love their relationship so much. It's adorable. And then we end with the tracker. The tracker isn't really on Leia. The tracker is Lola, her droid. Poor Lola. Poor little droid. But yes, overall, this was a good episode too. Definitely my favorite scene was the dark room and then the saber lights up, but very entertaining. I would love to hear what you guys thought. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.